All right, Decentralized Pictures Talent Cast. I am your host, Matt, and we are broadcasting live on X and YouTube. So if you're joining us, please smash the like, follow, subscribe, whatever the button is there that's available to you, hit it so you can keep up to date with all things that are happening at Decentralized Pictures. There's a lot going on right now. We have many financing awards that are live. DCP Plus is also on the horizon, a new streaming service that's coming from Decentralized Pictures. So if you haven't created an account, go out to decentralized.pictures, create a free account, and start participating in the decentralized filmmaking process. So today we have in studio Eduardo Sanchez and Jed Shepard, horror legends, to talk about their award, the Horror Filmmaking Initiative. So I'm already getting some great submissions there, and I know more to come before the closing date in end of February. So guys, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Good to see you both.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays. Thanks for having us, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so we're going to dive into some of the things that you've got going on right now. We're obviously going to talk about the Horror Filmmaking Initiative. But first, let's talk about. Okay, we got to go back. Let's just get it over with. Let's rewind 25 years from now. Let's go back to 1999. So I was an 18-year-old kid. I remember this vividly. A couple friends of mine were like, "Matt, we got to go see this movie, man. It's called The Blair Witch Project, and it's got these people that like there's like this found footage, and then they like disappear, and they're thought to be like dead now. I mean, nobody knows where they're at." And I'm like, let's go. This has got to happen. I mean, come on. And so we went. The theater was packed, and I mean, even 99 or today to pack a theater for a documentary film, that's a tough thing to do at your local Cinemark.
Yeah.
So it happened with Blair Witch Project. It was just one of those projects. It caught lightning in a bottle. I put it right up there with like Kevin Smith's Clerks and Robert Rodriguez, El Mariachi. I mean, it's just like, and it inspired a generation like me to go pick up a camcorder and start shooting. And then it was kind of when nonlinear editing was, getting popular at the time too. Just like, okay, now I got to learn to edit. I mean, I want to make something like this. So it truly did inspire a generation of independent filmmakers. So Eduardo, co-director of that film, I believe you were also the editor for that film as well. And it's just like you did a little bit of everything to bring that movie to life. So take us back 25 years. I know we could dedicate an entire podcast to talk about the Blair Witch Project, but in summary, kind of take us back to 1999 and summarize that experience for us.
I mean, it was just crazy, man. It was like, Dan Myrick and I had this idea in film school, and we kind of set it aside. And then Greg Hale got involved, and Rob Cowie, Mike Manello, and we formed this company, and we started, going to auditioning people in New York, and we somehow scraped, like $15,000-$20,000 together, and we shot it in fall of '97, and then just kind of scraped through, just living the life of a poor filmmaker, getting our heat cut off, and electric cut off, and every month was a different utility was cut off, but we got into Sundance, and it was a miracle, and we went and we sold after the first night, and then after that it's just like one ridiculous thing after another. Being on talk shows, and the actors being on Jay Leno, and us being on the cover of Time magazine and Newsweek, and just like us in Mad magazine, which is like what I'm most proud of. And just becoming all of a sudden filmmakers, and having scripts sent to us, and and just being part of this world that I always dreamed of being part of. And then and then later, obviously, just meeting people, and even now, like meeting people like Jed, and just fucking talented filmmakers that for some reason want to still work with me and shit. But it's just been a crazy ride, man. So, and it was basically your wildest dreams coming true. And you mentioned Clerks and El Mariachi, which were like, for us, were like tart, that was like, oh my God, that's pie in the sky. There's no way we're going to be able to do this. And the fact that we just, we turned something, you know, our movie turned into something that nobody expected, nobody had ever seen before. And so just to be in the same, you know, paragraph as those films is just such an honor. And because they inspired us, and it's just, you know, it was, you know, I owe Blair Witch so much, and I'm happy that people are still into it, and, you know, and feel blessed and lucky to have been a part of it.
Awesome. What was it about the marketing campaign that made it so effective? Where it just like it really was the marketing of like this found footage, which has inspired other films like Paranormal Activity and other, you know, films that kind of follow that same model. And Cloverfield comes to mind as well. And it's just like, so how was it so successful? How was that marketing campaign so successful?
I mean, it was like, you know, you said earlier, it's lightning in a bottle. Like you know, the movie was a documentary about these people, this footage being found. So we kind of were like, you know, what would you do to market this, you know? And then we had no money. So we're like, well, how the hell do you market it? You know, the internet was starting to become, you know, a force. And this was before YouTube and before Facebook and before any of that stuff. It was basically AOL. And so we built this website, and just people started coming to it, and we basically just set it up as if it was real. We're like, okay, the parents have hired us to edit this movie together and put a documentary together about what happened to their, you know, to their children. And so we just basically set it up, and it became, you know, we kept putting stuff up. We had Heather do a journal, we put that up, and just, you know, it was just like this crazy, without even seeing a frame of the movie, because this was before you could put video online, really. Just people started coming from all over the world. So we knew we had something cool. And then, you know, and I tell people this, it was the perfect movie at the perfect time. And we made all the right decisions somehow, you know, even the wrong decisions ended up helping us in the end, you know? So it was just a movie that was like, you know, blessed by the film gods. And I've never experienced anything like it, you know. And I knew, like, Dan and I would, you know, we're like in, you know, Cannes, and, you know, sitting around and, you know, just talking, you know, we just talked to Roger Ebert, and we were like, I remember I'm like, dude, this is, we should like just soak this in, because this is never going to happen to us ever again. So we knew we were lucky, and we knew that, you know, there was kind of a one-time thing, but, you know, you enjoyed it. But I don't do it. It just caught people's imagination, you know, like, even I did a movie in Hong Kong, like, you know, 15 years ago, and the Hong Kong crew, like, in their broken English, you know, almost all of them came up to me sometime during the shoot and told me their Blair Witch story. You know, this is literally halfway around the world. So at that point, I was like, holy crap, man, this really, and it's just the, you know, the fear of the woods. And it was just kind of a one sentence hook that hooked you immediately, you know. And, you know, again, Dan and I were blessed to have the idea, and then, you know, the right people came together, and the right company bought us, and, you know, the rest is history.
Awesome. I feel young again just hearing you talk about it. Excellent. Incredible. All right. So Jed, Blair Witch Project doesn't just stop with Eduardo. Tell us about a new documentary that's recently been released.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm the biggest Blair Witch Project fan you can get. So I'm wearing a Blair Witch 2 t-shirt right now, Ed. Sorry about that. Yeah. Vintage.
Not good.
But like the Blair Witch Project really inspired me in everything I do. And, you know, I'm known for found footage films as well, Host and Dashcam. And, you know, many years ago, I first spoke to Ed on a podcast that I was presenting. And, you know, he was saying how much he loved my film Host. And he was like, where did you get this idea? Where did you get this idea? And I was like, Ed, we completely ripped off the Blair Witch Project. That's how we did it. Because the Blair Witch Project set the template for all, you know, found footage films going forward. And we used the template of the Blair Witch Project, especially using people's real names and you know, making it feel authentic. And, you know, I've just always been a big fan. So, you know, I went out to Burkittsville a couple of times and, you know, hung out with Ed, and, you know, made stick men in the woods with Ed and some other people, and you know, went to the cemetery in the forest. It's so cool out there. So, you know, when it came time for the 25th anniversary, I was asked by Second Sight, who released the most amazing transfer of the Blair Witch Project. They went back and they got the original 16mm, the original high 8 tapes, and done a brand new transfer. And that's the version you see on the Second Sight release that came out in November. And along with that, you get my 2.5-hour documentary called The Blair Witch Documentary, to make it, even though the original Blair Witch Project was a documentary in itself, not to be confusing, but you know, they had all this footage that they filmed at the time, all this behind the scenes stuff. They had hours and hours and dozens of hours of like extra footage that no one's seen. So I was sent it all, and I was like, this is a miracle that, because the Blair Witch Project is one of the most influential horror films or films of all time, and to have all that footage that no one's seen is criminal. So, you know, I had the joy of plowing through all those tapes and through all the behind the scenes stuff and putting together what I would want to see as a Blair Witch fan. And that's what you get, the Blair Witch documentary. And the response has been like insane. Probably the best response I've had for any of my projects, bizarrely. So it's been really good. And, you know, I think, you know, when Ed was saying about how the Blair Witch Project inspired the next generation of filmmakers, like they've never really seen it firsthand what happens like on set, in the meetings, before they even show anything, production and post. That's all in the documentary. You get to see one of the most successful horror movies of all time being made as if you were there. It's quite immersive, actually. Ed's you know, Ed doesn't like seeing himself as from 27 years ago, so, but you know, it's really inspirational to me as well. Just, you know, seeing all of these amazing things happen to them, and you're right there with them watching this documentary as well. So it's almost like a heist movie. That's what I'd liken it to, because this plucky group of misfits got together and managed to break Hollywood, and I think that's what we're trying to do with this with this fund, really, as well.
Yeah, you know, and it was a, you know, when we heard that Jed was going to do the documentary, we were like, yeah, that's first of all, we were honored that he, you know, take a time out of his busy schedule to do it, but you know, we knew he was going to do it right, you know, and like Jed said, I haven't seen the movie. He sent me like a early copy months ago, and I watched like the first 5 minutes, and like watching myself and hearing myself and then seeing myself, you know, 27 years younger was just like, I don't know, at the time I was going through some shit or something, but I couldn't take it, man. And I texted him, I was like, dude, I don't want to seem like I, you know, don't like it. I haven't responded to it, but I just haven't been able to sit through it, man. But I've heard like such amazing things about it. All the rest of the guys that worked on it have seen it, and they're like, this is what the doc that we've been waiting for all these years. And I'm glad that, you know, finally that footage was, you know, put to good use, you know.
Awesome. So, well, best of luck, Jed, with the documentary. Can't wait to watch it myself, and watch Ed in his previous.
Yes, in my previous. Yeah.
All right. So, as a reminder, so we are live on X and YouTube. What's great about that is, guess what? You have amazing filmmakers here that are happy to take some questions. So we've got a few more standard questions to get through, but if you've got questions for Ed or Jed, throw them up there, and we'll try to get to them before the end of the podcast. All right, so I know that Blair Witch Project does not round out your career. You've done a lot of other great things, other great movies. So tell us about, you know, kind of what else you're working on currently. We'll get to the Horror Filmmaking Initiative here in just a second, but other project that you're working on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of switched into TV directing just because it was like a good way to pay bills, and it was, you know, it's tough to, as Jed knows, it's very tough to make money in the indie film world. I mean, it's great to be independent, but like the money just doesn't, you know, flow in like it should. So I switched to TV, and but I've been doing TV exclusively for like 10 years and have learned a lot and worked on some great shows, and you know, and now, like, because of the TV experience, my feature career is kind of heating up again. I'm getting sent scripts, and I'm developing some stuff with Jed, and developing, a bunch of other things, and have some scripts out there. So hopefully next year is the year where I get back into filmmaking. But recently my partner Greg Hale, who was one of the original producers on Blair Witch, and I sold a TV show that's actually a found footage TV show. And again, we're actually developing another show with Jed. And so, we're always, it's always busy. It's been kind of weirdly slow since the strike. This year has been, for the film business, has been very trying. And a lot of people have left the film business because there hasn't been enough work. It's a very kind of sad situation. So we're hoping, next year the studios come back in and start spending, more money. But so we're hoping for that. But, there's always things, we got a lot of like, Jed knows, you got to have a lot of plates spinning, and hopefully one of them will land. And and again, like I said before, just having fun collaborating with people like Jed and other, mostly younger and very talented filmmakers, and I just get inspiration from them, and I love the energy, because I've gotten to the point where I'm pretty lazy, so I, but I still love making films and TV. So but it is hard sometimes to get me off the couch. But yeah, you got a lot of things going on, but nothing that really actually I have an episode of Goosebumps that's coming out in January, and it's cool. It kind of comes back to this, is like it's a half found footage, and it turned out really great. Like there's like this little horror alien found footage movie right in the middle of the episode, and it's really cool. It's really fun to do. So that's the only thing that's kind of out, that's about to come out, but hoping for 2025 to pick up, man.
Awesome. Found footage is still serving you well.
Yes, I'm still
25 years later.
Yeah, man. I was kind of ashamed of it for a little while when found footage got a major backlash, and then but now it's like, I get a lot of jobs because of my experience, so it's great.
Absolutely. All right, over to you, Jed. What do you got? What do you got going in the hopper?
A lot. I've written for a lot of people. So in 2025, there's multiple movies will probably come out with my name on as a writer, but as a director as well. I'm shooting at least 2 movies next year. One with the producers of Get Out and Us, and one with the producers of Mandy as well. So I can't say too much about that because it's not been formally announced yet, but they're both horror movies.
Of course.
None of them are found footage though. They're conventional, but there are a couple of found footage movies I want to sneak in there somewhere next year as well. And obviously, I want to work with Ed and the guys as well, because I think a found footage project with both, myself and Ed, and I think we know that subgenre very well, and if we put our heads together, we'll come up with something magical, hopefully. And hopefully Ed'll get another Blair Witch experience where
you never know, man. Yeah. That'd be nice to share it with you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, excellent, guys. Well, let's segue into the awards. So the Horror Filmmaking Initiative. So at the top level, it's 2 awards, $25,000. And, speaking to what you mentioned earlier, Ed, about just, funding is always an issue in independent filmmaking. So to see that kind of capital flow in for a screenplay to develop a short is absolutely amazing. So 2 awards for $25,000 to produce a short film from the screenplays that are submitted within the platform at DCP. At least one recipient is reserved to be a female, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. The application period goes through the end of February, and the script must be 20 pages or less. So talk about as kind of like the origins of connecting with DCP and making that connection, and then what led you to create this award.
Yeah, I think I heard first about DCP through the Kevin Smith competition, because a few friends of mine had submitted to that because they're big Kevin Smith fans. So I checked it out and I was like, this platform's really interesting. So I signed up to it. And I took part in some of the peer-to-peer reviewing of other people's projects as well. And there's some real cool stuff out there. And this is like new a new thing, and I like anything kind of new and new technology. So I thought this was a real good way to find new talent and to actually get some money, because I don't know what it's like in America, but in the UK, it's so difficult to get funding, especially for horror movies.
Oh,
And
it's easy here, man. It's
oh
easy.
yeah, I can imagine that.
It's very easy.
But like, yeah, it's difficult all well around. But in the UK, especially, there's no respect for horror. It's a dirty word, to be honest. So I think that's kind of what led me to first speak to Leo at DCP and yourself, Matt, and just be like, something needs to be done about this. I could see what has been done for comedy through DCP and drama, and I just felt there needed to be a horror angle, because for a number of reasons. One, it's my favorite genre. Two, it's the most successful genre based on return on investment as well. Ed will know that. So I think if a filmmaker, and also all my favorite filmmakers started with horror as well, like everyone. So it's really a genre that can help find this amazing new talent. And at least over in Europe, we've probably lost a generation of people who could have been the new Spielberg or Jordan Peele, because there's no funding here. So this is a real breath of fresh air, and I actually cannot wait to dive into the scripts. And me and Ed were just saying, like, I wish we could submit ourselves, because me and Ed would come up with a really good,
we
really good
might.
short.
You never know. We'll have disguises and
we'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, I got involved, been doing stuff with Jed for a while, and he was like, you want to come in and help with this thing that we're doing, giving away money to young unknown filmmakers. And I was like, that's, you got me hooked. And for me, it's like, I think of like myself, in my early days, and like, man, if somebody had handed me 25,000 or the opportunity to get $25,000 to do a short film, you could do a proper short film for 25,000. I mean, you could do a feature for 25,000, let alone, so it's just a great opportunity to do something like, just with enough resources to actually do it properly. And again, horror, like Jed said, it's like so much innovation comes from horror, and that's really exciting for people like us that have been into it, because been it for a while, because there's always something new out there, and it's just really refreshing to see the new talent come up and just the ideas. And sometimes you're just blown away by these things. You're like, man, I never in a million years would have thought of that. And those are the gems that we're trying to find. Hopefully I know we're already getting a lot of submissions, but I think we're going to find some really good filmmakers out there, hopefully.
Yeah, and it's not just a matter of us reading the scripts and then we send you off with the money. We will help you make that short, from start to finish. And then after that, where you still got us on the hook as well, we'll help you to get to the next level as well. And I think the idea is, once the short's produced, we're going to help you take that to production companies and studios and do the rounds with you basically, and try to get that short made as a the feature made based off your short, because I think that's ultimately the goal for all us filmmakers, is to make feature films. So this is the best way to do it. Prove yourself with a short and make it as amazing as possible, because that's the kind of journey I took. Made shorts for 10 years, and then they were doing well at festivals, and then someone will go, oh, okay, these guys can do it short form, let's give them a bunch of money to make a feature film. And that's
and we're hoping that that the people are taking advantage of that idea, and like having submitting short ideas that maybe they already have a feature script for, or like that can translate well to a feature film. But Jed and I will be there every step of the way. We'll be every day on set, looking over your shoulder, second guessing your decisions, doing all those stuff that executives do. But we're going to be all over this thing. So, but I mean, the goal is to, like Jed said, find something really cool and take it as far as we can take it,
Yeah, no doubt. So that was actually going to be in my follow-up question here, that you're collaborating with Roman Coppola as well. Just a acclaimed filmmaker in and of himself. And so working with Roman, and I think this is one of the big differentiators with a platform like Decentralized Pictures, is the money is amazing. The money is great. Every independent filmmaker needs money, but then that mentorship piece, okay, to be able to work with people like you that have done this. You've been in this game a long time. Okay, there's some sound advice, some guidance to provide there, and then also Roman as well. I mean, to me, that's just as valuable as the money. So
Oh
how
yeah.
how
Yeah.
novel of an idea is this right now?
I haven't really heard of anything like this. I know with your Kevin Smith one, like his team came on board to make that short happen. And I think he's doing it again. But just with horror, having someone like I'm going to excuse myself from the conversation, but having someone like Ed involved, who he has been there as a struggling filmmaker, and then all of a sudden the biggest film in the world that everyone's talking about. It's very few people in the entire world has ever done anything like that. So you're going to have that on your side, and then Roman has been on some of the biggest film sets in the entire world.
Yeah.
He's done second unit on some of the biggest films of all time as well. So, you know, just to have him involved, it's absolutely insane. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
whoever
yeah,
wins this is so lucky.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and that's the whole thing, is that you never know. And Jed excludes himself, of course, but like, very humbly. But I mean, Jed is, like you just found out, he's like so busy, so well connected. He's like so hot right now. So you need that really helps too, because I think that you need that kind of young kind of energy and that kind of like heat of in your career, and I think he brings that. But I think just having the background of Roman Coppola there, and just knowing what he's done, and it brings so much credibility to it. And I think that between the three of us and between the organization and everything, I think we're going to be able to put this in front of anybody we want.
Awesome. What an opportunity. Keep those submissions coming. There's already been a great response, but we want to flood these awards with submissions. So, I mean, you have some time, work to develop out your screenplay over the holidays, got till the end of February to submit. So let's get some more submissions in there. All right. Awesome. As a reminder, guys, this is your opportunity. We just got a few minutes left. Questions for Jed, Eduardo. Post them out there in the chat if you're watching on YouTube or X, and they will be happy to field those questions. All right, so I know that one of these awards is reserved for a female filmmaker. So tell us the logic behind that decision to make that part of the criteria.
Well, I feel like we've seen everyone has a story, and I think a lot of the time the horror films that we have enjoyed over the last 100 years have really been from a male perspective. And I feel like it's time for a fresh voice. You can have that perspective still, but there's room for different voices, different cultures, different countries. But horror movies from a female perspective, I think it comes with such just at a different angle. And if you look right now, The Substance is my favorite film of the year, and I don't think a guy could have directed that, to be honest. So I would love to find someone who's making or wants to make a movie that not only commercial but so incredibly original.
Yeah, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. Like Jed was saying, 99% of all the movies that have come out are mostly directed by men. Women are at least half the population of the world. There's a lot of talent out there that is completely ignored, unfortunately. And I just think it's time to for it's been a long time coming, man. But any way that we can kind of bring a new artist into the public spotlight, we're going to do it, whether you're a man or a woman. And I just feel like there's so much untapped talent out there and so much frustration because of the male dominated industry. And I could go on for hours, but it just made perfect sense for us. It's like, yeah, of course, one of the two awards, one for a dude and one for a woman. So
Excellent. All right, you heard the calling, ladies. Let's get those screenplays written. Let's make a badass horror film. All right. So, okay, I got a couple questions coming in here. Let's throw them on screen. And this goes back to a topic you guys were talking about earlier. what other strategies might you have to sustain yourself as creators between projects?
Uber's really good. Like, you can make your own hours. You can like selling your Star Wars collection, which is what I'm doing now. Go ahead,
No,
Jed. I think
no.
you're much better. You're much better at this than I am.
I used to have a 9 to 5. I worked in an office. I worked in finance, bizarrely. People don't realize that.
Oh,
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I probably can't say exactly what I was doing, but it was anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financing stuff. But that was really cool, and I didn't get to use my creative brain at work. So as soon as I got home, I would work. But working for a proper 9 to 5 meant I had a little bit of a safety net when it came to write. I didn't have to rely on the writing and stuff to feed myself. But then, I've always had side projects. I've had my own record labels and, make T-shirts and things and always done things on the side. But now, I've realized you can just write for other people as well, and and try and sell your scripts that way. And I've done that a whole bunch of times. And also one of the things I do is punch up other people's scripts, and you actually get paid more than you do for your own script sometimes. So if you are half decent at writing and you think you can improve a script, it's good. That's good money, because people come to you and go, well, we've had this script, we bought the script 10 years ago, it's just sitting there, can you do anything with it? And yeah, usually you can, and they pay you, and even if they don't make it, you still get paid, so it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, look, being a writer like Jed, because you can work from anywhere in the world, and especially now with Zoom and stuff, it's like, you don't need to live in LA anymore. And I mean, absolutely, if you have Jed's talent and his pedigree, like just where he is, I mean, you can make money that way. But for us, for the rest of the mortals out there, I mean, it like what Jed said is like, having a 9 to 5, even if you hate it, is just gives you that financial stability. And also for me, like when I had the 9 to 5, I felt that like when I got home, I was like ready to write or ready to do this and ready. And now I find like when I work on TV shows or, I'm involved in television or films, like, 9 to 5, the last thing I want to do is, have anything to do with film afterwards. So use your free time and connect with other people that are trying to do the same thing as you, work on crews for other people's short films and network. And it's so much about like the people, and where they're going and just being cool and just being part of a community. So, basically I mean, not too much advice, but just do what you got to do. You got this in your blood and you can't get rid of it. So you got to learn to live with it, but you got to learn to feed yourself too. So it's the biggest challenge of any artist has. So, balancing those two parts of your life. So, good luck and just keep at it,
Yeah, and just really quickly, also, don't just rely on one project. Don't think, okay, this is my masterpiece, I'm not going to do anything else until this is made.
Yeah.
I've got like a million things going at the same time, and you've got to throw enough shit out of the wall because something will stick. You just got to keep throwing it.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. You got to have a lot of plates spinning because you never know what's going to hit, and don't, and remember, like and a good idea can come from anywhere, So be open to that as well.
Awesome, thanks, guys. All right, let's do a couple more. All right, so this is about elevated horror. What do you guys think of the term elevated horror that some critics have been using to describe some recent horror films?
I hate it. It's done about you. I think it's lazy. I think it's snobbery. In fact, it's people who don't usually like horror, don't want to admit that they've liked a horror movie, so they try and put it into a different category. Oh no, this isn't horror. This is an elevated. This is different. But I feel like that's really crapping on all of the other horror movies and horror as a genre. So it was really just one journalist that said it like once, and then it kind of took off. But I am starting to hear it creep into, studio execs kind of said the younger ones start saying it, and I'm just
it's all over the place, man. It's all over the place, like pitching stuff. I mean, it's good that finally maybe the horror will get some respect, and you have some great filmmakers, that are making these, freaking amazing movies. And again, like, eventually one of these movies is going to win Best Picture. Like, we get no respect, in the awards, any of the awards, other than the ones that are tailored for horror movies.
Mhm.
And so, and I think the term elevated, I think Jed's right. It just kind of says, well, this is elevated and the rest is crap. It's like, no, the whole genre is about fun and also just like there's so many different things you can do. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of horror for me, is like, as far as like being, sort of semi stuck in the horror genre. There's just so many different avenues that you can do, within the horror genre. So I think the idea of like having something elevated is like, I think what Jed says, just like an executive, idea, and it's something that they, sell, like, oh, this is not a regular horror movie, this is elevated. It's like, well, I guess the regular horror movies are pieces of trash then. Like,
Yeah.
that's, but again, anything to like, help promote and help kind of, bring these movies out of like the kind of the B movie market that usually horror movies are like, they're relegated to. I think it helps, so it's about time,
No doubt. All right, let's do one more. This picture kind of scares me. I don't know what that is. Okay. All right. What advice do you have for getting your script noticed without any representation, manager/agent?
Yeah, it's hard.
It is.
That's really hard. But there are a lot of producers out there just on social media that you can reach out to. I get a lot of requests to like read people's scripts, and sometimes that might work. If there's a script where that I instantly connect with, then maybe I can put in a good word with a producer friend or somewhere. But you really need to just play the game a little bit. Go to networking events. Just keep your ear to the ground. And honestly, online there's a lot of producers who regularly call out for scripts. Like, okay, we're doing a call out for scripts. It's got to be this type of script. It's got to be horror. It's got to be 90 minutes. Blah blah blah. And then they'll accept it. But yeah, it's a lot easier when you do have representation, of course.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it's just a catch-22, because it's like,
yeah,
you can't get work without a representation, and and you can't get representation without work. So, I mean, my suggestion, I mean, there are, like Jed said, there's a lot of online kind of sources. There's a place called, and I haven't even looked at it in years, but there's a place called Ink Tip that I've actually found altered my first movie after Blair Witch. I found that script on there, and it's like a producer's market, but mostly for unproduced writers. And they put some, and I don't know what, like I said, I haven't really kept touch with them, but I know there's that, it's still around, and I know there's other places. But also, like, as like what Jed was saying, I think earlier, like, make sure that you have a lot of projects going. If you're not a director yourself, write a short film and find somebody that, oh my God, that guy's a great director, I love his short, would you want to do my short, my script? And then again, like, do that thing where, like, you have the short, take it to festivals, and then have the feature idea ready to go. So if anybody says, hey, that would be great, that would make a great feature, then you're ready to go. But yeah, I mean, look, it's tough. It's like what Jed did, or what I did, is basically impossible. Like, you look back at when I was a kid, I'm like, man, I was, I wanted to be a filmmaker, but I had no idea that it was going to be like this. You got to create your own, place. You have to, like, go in there, wedge yourself in there, and try to find a place to belong. And then once you get in, it's even harder to stay relevant and stay in the business. Like, I've been really lucky to be in this business now 25 years. It's not that careers usually don't last that long. But again, just keep hustling. If your features are not going anywhere, write some shorts that are, if you can direct, then just raise a little bit of money, or don't, whatever. Just, you can shoot movies with your iPhone now. There's no excuse to, like, not go out there and make a movie these days. So just get out there and do it. And and important what Jed said, don't put all your eggs in one basket, man. You got to, like, have as many things out there as possible, as many genres as you can also. But again, if you can't start with a feature, start with a short, and then work your way around. And you never know who you're going to meet, and where they're going to go, and where you're going to, and the connections or whatever. So just keep working it, and believing in yourself.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate that. And to build off of that answer, that's another beautiful aspect of Decentralized Pictures. You don't need any representation to submit to any of these awards. So that's another benefit, and the public is deciding, what they want to see, what they like. It's not a centralized entity just going to one or two people to make the decision. The public is voting, providing their reviews, feedback, to help you grow as filmmakers, and to decide who's most deserving of these financing awards and mentorship opportunities. And a great thing too, as a reviewer, even if you're not a filmmaker, you can go out on the platform, set up an account, start reviewing. Everybody watches movies. They know what they like. Go out there, provide your feedback, and earn some film tokens in the process while participating on the platform. So, all right. Well, great stuff, Ed Jed. Thank you so much for being on the DCP Talent Cast today. This is an incredible award, the Horror Filmmaking Initiative. 2 awards for $25,000 a piece, 1 reserved for a female. Also, mentorship opportunities attached to that award. So please keep the submissions coming. So, guys, everybody who joined us on X, YouTube, thanks again. This recording will be memorialized on YouTube as well for future viewing. So thanks again, guys. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us, man. Happy holidays to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.